Hello, podcast listeners. This episode of JJ Meets World is finger licking good. At least it is until Tucker ruins it by talking about ancient Egypt. Sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode of JJ Meets World. And by the way, if you'd like to help support our podcast, visit jjmeetsworld.com where you can donate to our Patreon, pick up some killer swag at our merch shop, or click the link to Apple Podcasts and give us a 5-star review.
1, 2, 3, 4. J.J. Gordon, sort of like that Indiana Jones, in that he's always sniffing out his next adventure. Yes, he is. He's always interviewing guests so he can have them on his show and they can talk about pop culture, arts, and leisure. J.J. has his flag unfurled and he likes his french fries curled, and he's fun and then he twirled as he goes to meet the world. He will march into the rain even if his ankle sprained. Take a peek inside his brain. This podcast is called JJ Meets World.
Just shut up, okay? KFC, also commonly referred to by its historical name, Kentucky Fried Chicken, was founded by Colonel Harlan Sanders, an entrepreneur who began selling fried chicken from his roadside restaurant in Corbin, Kentucky during the Great Depression. Sanders identified the potential of restaurant franchising, and the first Kentucky Fried Chicken franchise opened in Salt Lake County, Utah in 1952. KFC popularized chicken in the fast food industry, diversifying the market by challenging the established dominance of the hamburger. Branding himself Colonel Sanders, the founder became a prominent figure of American cultural history, and his image remains widely used in KFC advertising. The company's rapid expansion made it too large for Sanders to manage, so in 1964, he sold the company to a group of investors led by John Y. Brown Jr. and Jack C. Macy. KFC was one of the first food chains to expand internationally, opening in Britain, Mexico, and Jamaica by the 1960s. Throughout the 1970s and 80s, KFC experienced mixed success domestically as it went through a series of changes in corporate ownership with little or no experience in the restaurant business. In the early 1970s, KFC was sold to the spirits distributor Hubline, which was taken over by R.J. Reynolds Food and Tobacco Conglomerate, which was later sold the chain to PepsiCo. The chain continued to expand overseas, and in 1987, KFC became the first Western restaurant chain to open in China. In 1997, PepsiCo spun off its restaurant division as Tricon Global Restaurants, which changed its name to Yum Brands in 2002. Yum has proven to be more focused owner than Pepsi, and although KFC's number of outlets has declined in the U.S., the company has continued growth in Asia, South America, and Africa. The chain has expanded to 18,875 outlets across 118 countries and territories, with 4,563 outlets in China alone, KFC's largest market. You might say, why did you just read the beginning of the KFC Wikipedia to me, to me, Tucker? JJ? Why did you read it to me, JJ? Referring because I'm in your brain now. Because I read something that shocked me to the core today. For a brief time, KFC opened a sister restaurant that was called Kentucky Beef. And they sold roast beef sandwiches and honey ham.
Are you serious?
I'm very serious. They opened the first one in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Ham is not beef.
Well, I think that you go in for the beef.
Ham is not beef.
It's true, but Arby's has the meats.
Thank you for confirming that I wasn't saying something false.
But it does have that feel of like like country ham, right? Like country ham like feels like it's part of this world.
No, I mean it's ham.
Yeah, but it's country ham. Country ham. You don't see a lot of
pigs are like the cows of the country.
They are. If you really think about it, pigs are the cows of the country. Because a lot of people like like where you're from, Kentucky, right? Like the Kentucky people married these pigs. And took them as lovers. And teachers in some cases. I know that there's two pigs who are doctors, like have doctorates in Kentucky. And so, of course, they would honor them by serving them once their time had passed.
I like that he gave himself the colonelship.
Isn't that interesting? Any thoughts? Because people would respect him more.
Well, that's kind of a thing in Kentucky, too. You can get proclaimed a colonel that by the governor or whatever.
Is that true?
That's an actual thing, which should be on your bucket list because you don't have to be a Kentuckian to have that happen.
Ooh, I would like that.
Yeah.
Just kind of like, it's sort of like when Harvard gives out an honorary doctorate.
Yeah, you should look it up. You could become an honorary Kentucky colonel. You actually could. So Kentucky beef, it was just called Kentucky beef.
Kentucky beef.
And
not Kentucky fried beef because it wasn't fried.
See, Kentucky grilled beef, the KGB, would have been great.
The KGB.
I'd go down to the KGB. Did it carry over any of like the aesthetic of KFC? Like the colors?
It did.
Was the Colonel
It
also
did.
there?
Yep, the Colonel was also its namesake.
Okay.
It carried over a lot. Like, so the red and white striping. In fact, so much so that after 3 years, so the big problem with Kentucky beef was the beef was slow roasted, and because it was slow roasted, it took so much more time.
And
right?
it was roast beef. It wasn't hamburgers.
It was roast beef.
Okay.
Yep. So like an Arby's, competitor. It took so long, and the KFC ownership at the time insisted that it be slow roasted beef in the store because that's the quality, and they had to charge more for it.
Right.
So like if you went to a Kentucky beef and got their sandwich, it was 79 cents. But if you were to go to a KFC, you could get the 2 pieces of chicken, a biscuit, mashed potatoes, and gravy for 84 cents.
Okay.
So it was more expensive. And there wasn't a problem with it. People liked it.
Mm-hmm.
The problem was like they just couldn't take over the overhead. And they opened up about 100 of these restaurants. And
They grew too fast.
they grew well.
They didn't really grow. They just started too
bingo,
fast.
right?
Yeah, started
and
too
so they just said like, okay, well, these will all become Kentucky Fried Chickens. And until the end of the 70s, some locations still served this Kentucky beef as well because they had all the machinery with it.
Why do you think do that versus just add that to the menu at KFC? Just expand the KFC menu.
Because the kitchen had to be completely different.
Okay,
So
that
like
makes
for
sense.
them to be
Yeah,
able to
that's true.
make the beef, they
that's
need to
true.
spit in the back.
That's true.
whatever it is.
That's true.
And so
They need a barbecue mop.
yeah, right. And like nowadays, you wouldn't worry about that because Cisco is just delivering the pre-made stuff, and all you have to do is warm it up, right? But for them, it was a big difference. And they have so much of the back end of KFC is taken up by fryers.
Right. How long did this last for?
The Kentucky beef,
Yeah.
only 2 years.
Okay.
2 years, and they're like, we just couldn't move. Now, I'm surprised that they don't still have ham as an option because there is, you've got chicken, which is a white meat. You have ham, which is the other white meat, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think people would go for that. I think people would enjoy some ham. Don't you think that people would enjoy ham? Because all the other sides at Kentucky Fried Chicken complement ham.
The only ham I enjoy is like thick slices of roasted ham at Thanksgiving,
That's
Christmas.
what we're talking about.
But
that's
like
what you'd get.
But so like no deli ham, but also ham is going to be the last thing I go for on the menu for the meats.
Really?
Yeah. I'm not talking about bacon. I'm separating bacon out here, right? Like the different cuts.
You're talking straight up the hams.
ham, pork
I'm
loin.
always taking a ham.
I'm always for pork loin.
See, I'd rather have ham than pork loin.
Pork loin all day long for me. For me, it would be probably, it might be pork loin and then bacon and then ham. I'm not quite sure.
I recently took a tour of the NDSU Peltier building, which is the meat lab. And I toured their old one, and I got to tour this one. And while I was there, they had students from, I think, the tech school who were in learning some stuff. And so they were butchering some pigs.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yep.
And so they'd already been bled and the guts removed. So they're just, chopping up, be like, you are a pork chop, you are a butt roast. And they showed me this machine because pigs, I think when we see animated pigs like Porky, Wilbur from Charlotte's Web, they don't have hair on them, right? They don't show how hairy, but like pigs are very similar to human beings where like they've got body hair. And so they take the pig once it's
little Philly
dead,
pigs.
just a bunch of little Philly pigs, and they pop them into this machine with like a special detergent that's like a Nair and like it's got all these paddles in it, and the paddles like thwap away at the hair.
Really?
And then they then when they're done, they take it out, and anything left, they like use like a little blowtorch and like burn the hair off before they take it for like de-skinning and cutting and stuff like that.
Got it. So it's not like this is a chemical that's coming in direct contact with the meat. 'Cause
No.
it's on the skin layer that needs to get taken off as well.
And it's thought of as a detergent, so like yes, it's made of chemicals, but it's not like it's not like an insecticide.
Right.
It's
Right.
no harsh chemicals in it.
I'm definitely one of those people who don't want to see how the sausage is made.
Oh, really?
Like I mean, I know how it is, and I've seen videos of slaughterhouses or whatever. I have no problem with it. I just don't want to see it because I like my meat to look nothing like an animal.
Yeah.
I like to think of hamburger meat as just its own thing that didn't come from
Sure.
family or whatever, because I don't want to think about
It comes out of this metal tube, and it's my thing.
and all the blood and death that came before.
I also got to see that thing that they put them in, and then like they have a test head so that you can test like what it takes to put down an animal, and that I kind of wish they hadn't pulled that one out.
Damn.
Like I was like, I didn't need to see this.
We fucking shoot this thing every day.
They had all these like this
Is it
mold
like the
to make a
thing
brain
from No Country for Old Men, where he's got like the little like the punch thing? They put that at the forehead and just fucking
but it's not pneumatic like that. Like it uses a 12 gauge shotgun blast.
Yeah.
So like that to like put the thing in.
Yeah.
That was one of the weirdest things they ever chose in movies, is to use that pneumatic cow, like the thing. And they, what's the thing? In the movie It, too, the Mike's character
Is this the
who works
remake?
at a slaughterhouse, yeah. And so they show them using like the little gun that has all the. It's gross. Let's talk about KFC. Let's just talk about KFC and how amazing
you were
it is.
talking about KGB.
It wasn't going to come out KGB. I know a fact about KFC that I think is interesting, which is for the Christmas holiday. So, like, in China, Christmas is not celebrated the way it's celebrated here because of a difference in culture and religion, but they still acknowledge December 25th. And the meal for Christmas is KFC chicken.
Really?
So much so that you need to place your order 2 months in advance or you're not going to get it.
Interesting.
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
That's wild.
And so people go all out. They spend a ton of money on fried chicken and biscuits and coleslaw, and they bring it home. And
fascinating.
Yeah.
I'm really curious about how that took hold. I'm guessing that's started with marketing in some way.
yeah,
And then it just kind of took hold from there.
I think that there's probably some kind of, there was an era where there was an obsession with being more like American culture in some ways. And so why not? This is the most American,
Sure,
you might
yeah.
say, well, McDonald's, well, that's just a clown, that thing. This is a Southern gentleman
Yeah.
with a big old mustache
Yeah.
and, his little tiny soul patch.
Who invented fried food? What
Fried food?
What culture invented fried food?
If I had to guess, I'm guessing it probably is a British
Think so?
thing. Yeah, because
they're frying chips. They're frying.
yeah, because like when you think about like
Fish.
traditional food, like even like if you think of like from India, there's not as much fried food. China doesn't have as much fried food. The Greeks, have some stuff, but it's really not prevalent. I feel like it's like maybe the French a little bit, but probably not as much.
Whoa. Okay, according to this AI assistant, which just Googled
Okay.
for me, frying food is believed to have originated in ancient Egypt around 2500 BC, where early records suggest that people were frying food such as tiger nut cakes. The practice of frying then spread to other cultures, including the Greeks and Romans, who also enjoyed fried foods. That's wild. That seems like it would be like a new thing, but I guess maybe it could just be a difference in the cooking method of frying. Right?
Sure.
So like American, or like what we would call American frying, I guess, which is just fast food, did that form of it start here?
Like deep frying.
Deep frying.
That's what you're really getting into, is like deep frying.
Yeah. History. The English expression deep fried is attested from the early 20th century, but deep fried dough was eaten as early as the late 2nd millennium BCE in Canaan. So they used to fry food in olive oil. So I'm sure just the different kinds of...
I think we still are.
French fries
food.
were invented in the late 18th century. No shit.
Look at you.
Look at us. Look at me Googling and reading it out loud. See, I don't even print it off like you did. I don't know why you printed it off.
Because I'm going to use this later on this week.
Yeah, but it's still on the internet.
Yeah, but I'm not going to be in a place where I don't know where if the internet's going to be good or not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, have you ever gone into a place where like you are relying on the internet and it's going so slow and you're like, oh, come on.
KFGO, you're going to go someplace without cell service to talk about KF beef.
Yeah. It's one of the things I plan on talking about that afternoon.
K beef.
Yeah. Because I recently had some. And it was good.
Wait, you had Kentucky beef?
No, Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Oh.
I didn't print out Kentucky beef. That I rattled off to you.
That's right.
I printed Kentucky Fried Chicken's history.
I thought, where the fuck did you get Kentucky beef?
I made it on my own. By the way,
is that like a local celebrity thing where it's like, oh, you JJ? Hey, I'm gonna grill you up some beef real quick here.
Tiger nut cake is a cone-shaped cake made of tiger nuts and honey topped with date syrup, and it looks like a giant pile of dookie.
We need to define what tiger nuts are.
Tiger nuts. And by the way, the recipe for this comes from the walls of the tomb of Reckmeyer, who was the vizier of the pharaohs Thutmose III and Amenhotep II. With a combination of pictures and hieroglyphs, we can get a rough idea of the ingredients for these cone-shaped cakes and how they were made. As with anything this old and many historical recipes in general, there's no way to make it, only the wrong ways. Scholars debate about different parts of the tomb walls, and we'll never know for sure if it was actually done, but we can give it our best shot.
Interesting. Okay. Huh.
Now, it's interesting because the thing itself looks like a giant pile of
it looks like a
human
Triceratops
waste.
took a shit right
Yeah.
there.
So maybe it wasn't that you should make it. Maybe it wasn't a recipe, but maybe it was like this guy ate a bunch of tiger nuts and dates and then had an accident.
And then did it right there. And then when they were excavating it, they were like, oh, this must be cake.
Yeah, this must be cake.
Instead of it being his shit.
I want somebody to look at my headstone and assume that whatever is on it is cake. A tiger nut, by the way. Here we go. Cyprus esculentus, also known as yellow nutsedge, shufa nutsedge, earth almond, or tiger nut, is a grass-like perennial weed native to Europe and Africa. It is considered to be one of the world's worst weeds and can be a major agricultural pest. Characteristics: low growing with narrow folded leaves, 4 to 12 inches long, straw-colored golden brown flowers and spikelets, 5 to 30 millimeters long.
So it is a plant. He's not getting the tiger's nuts.
Well, did you assume that that's what it was?
I needed to cross the possibility
Sure,
off.
I got you.
Right? I was like, listen, I can't know for sure.
No.
But I would love it if a pharaoh was like, you know what I want? Why don't you go cut off that tiger's balls? I'm going to eat it.
Call testicles nuts. So, according to the internet,
catch a tiger by his nuts.
I Googled, why do we call testicles nuts? And this is what the internet told me. Nuts is a slang term for testicles that originated in the mid-19th century. Explanation: the word nut comes from the Proto-German word Knut. The word nut has many other meanings, including the fruit of certain trees and shrubs, mechanical piece that goes onto a bolt, and an amount of money.
Yeah.
The word bollocks is another word for testicles that originated in Middle English.
Yeah. Nuts is a poker term as well. If you have the nuts, you have the best hand.
Okay. There are multiple... Oh, God. There are multiple slang terms for the testes. They may be referred to as balls, frequently nuts, sometimes intentionally misspelled as nuts, N-U-T-Z, are also slang for the testes due to the geometric resemblance. Sometimes misspelled nuts, N-U-T-Z. Like if you're gonna name your your best friend is like, oh, it's Joey Nuts. Oh, that's delightful.
Yeah.
Who doesn't love that?
Yeah.
I'm way behind that.
I'd try a KFN for sure.
What's KFN?
Kentucky Fried Nuts.
Would you?
Yeah.
Kentucky Fried Nuts.
Yeah.
I had a friend who told me recently that they needed the tickets to go to an event in Fargo that was being held at the Fargo Dome because they were desperate for those like Brazilian like nuts, like the candied almonds. And I realized
really good.
when you walk into that space, that's all that arena smells like.
Yeah, yeah.
Even like if they're not going.
They should do that every event they have there. That's a nice smell to walk into.
You think so?
Yeah.
I don't like them.
You don't like them?
No.
We're talking almonds, right? Like the cinnamon coated.
Bavarian almonds.
Yeah, those I love those.
No, it's just not my thing.
I could eat those by the truckload. But you don't like cake, right? No.
No,
What am I talking
love
about?
cake.
Who is it that I know that doesn't like cake? Someone I know doesn't like cake, and for some reason I thought it was you for a second.
No,
and then I
no.
remember that video of you eating an entire sheet cake.
And you know what the background music is while I'm eating that sheet cake? Just so you know. It's the Lon Ranch from Harry Potter, from The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time.
Do you still have that video?
I don't know. So, I had a computer that bit the big one recently, and I think I have to send the hard drive somewhere to have all the stuff pulled off of it because I have a lot of stuff that just was not backed up in any way, and I feel foolish for it. So let this be a reminder. Back up your files. Once every 6 months, you'll probably be fine. You're good to go. How often do you do a backup, or do you work off of like a server?
I have an old Drobo that, now those are technically obsolete, but it's not a network-attached storage Drobo. It's one that just attaches directly to the computer. And so that still works, and then that is backed up to the cloud via Backblaze.
Okay.
So those are the two copies I have right now, but I do want to build out a new NOS at some point. I just, it's kind of a money and time thing. The Drobo's still working, and I have that second backup. So for right now, I've got redundancy.
That's good.
Yeah.
It's always nice to know that you got a backup to your backup.
Yeah. What I eventually want to do is get that server running, move all my absolute critical stuff to it, and get that backed up to the cloud. And then I think the Drobo would just remain like a media player. Like it'd be like, all right, this is going to be just filled with movies and music that I don't need to have backed up because they exist out in the world. I'm not going to lose them forever. But like home movies, raw footage of stuff that we've worked on, all that kind of stuff I want to hold on to.
Did you ever finish that one movie that we shot?
The Cupid one?
Yeah.
No, never did finish that.
Just sitting there?
Yeah, what was it? It still needs something. Well, the one thing that I never did even start on producing because I could never figure out exactly how I wanted it to work is the contents of the tape that your character plays for Missy that explains what the service is. So that piece has not been produced at all. But I made an edit of everything else. That might be the only thing that's really missing, but I'd have to go back and look at it again.
Is it like a Hollywood thing, like insert shot of...
Yeah, it's got something, I think, at that point. I'd have to go back and look at it
Why
again.
don't you get a Korean animation?
What?
For it? Have you read about how like
the reenactment animations that they do?
Yeah, like how like courts use that all the time now?
Yeah, I might do that. I could also talk to Toby Jones and see if he wants to help me make something. We're going to shoot something again this fall.
Are you?
Yeah.
A follow-up to...
It's not part of that universe.
Okay. Something different?
It's a short film. I don't actually know all the details of it, just that AJ will be in it, Whitney will be in it, and that we're going to film it at Toby's lake cabin over the course of a week or two.
Great.
So that'll be fun.
When does the Blu-ray come out?
They are working on that right now. Right now, we are working on all of like the extra feature stuff on it. So Toby is editing a bunch of that stuff, and then I'm going to do a color correction pass on it here at some point. So I don't know a release date yet for the Blu-ray, but I'm told summer. is kind of the area of time.
One of my favorite set of extras is in a very forgettable Coen Brothers movie called Intolerable Cruelty. And in it, George Clooney plays a lawyer a divorce attorney who's really good at getting, like, if you're the person who cheated, like, don't worry, this person won't get a bunch of your money. And Catherine Zeta-Jones is cheated on, and he, like, rakes her over the coals, but he falls in love with her, and, like, there's this back and forth through the whole movie. So I don't know if the Coen brothers were just messing with people or what the deal is, but Catherine Zeta-Jones's original husband, played by Edward Herrmann, is obsessed with trains. Like, that's his kink, is like he likes to dress up like a train engineer. And so at one point he's having like these ladies and they're getting busy, but he's got these projections of like trains, like old school, like black and white projections of trains going on all over. And so one part of the extras is the footage of the trains from the 1920s that goes on for like 9 minutes. And it's just like the same 30 seconds over and over and over again. Another is, no joke, it's got to be 30 takes of this one character. It's pulling back from George Clooney and this one character, and the character is his assistant, and he's holding a wedding gift, and he goes, "Everyone likes berries. Everyone likes berries. Everyone likes berries. Everyone likes berries." And it goes on and on and on. And George Clooney is there. So it's not like they're like, hey, let's just, let's do something funny with this. Like, they made George Clooney sit through all of these takes.
So they were doing commentary on these things as well.
I mean, it's pretty bizarre.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I love that.
Me too. I really dig it.
Mine would be the Cannibal the Musical.
Where they
Commentary
get
track,
drunk?
Where they get drunk. So at the very beginning, they're very... this costs this much, and we were doing this or that, and by the end, they're farting into the microphone.
Did you ever listen to? There's a movie called The Rules of Attraction. James Van Der Beek and not Jessica Alba, the other Jessica who married Justin Timberlake. Jessica Biel.
Jessica Biel.
It was kind of like a coming of age movie about these people who went to college together, and they did like a split screen shot that was pretty amazing that becomes like a single shot. But this is back in the era where you couldn't really like correct it all via so you had to be like perfectly timed. But one of the commentary tracks for it is Carrot Top. And it's like commentary by special guest commentator, and it turns out to be Carrot Top. And he's watching the movie for the first time ever. And he's like, "Oh, I wonder who this character is." And like just talking out loud during it. And it is one of the funniest things I've ever seen. Especially like you can't watch the movie for the first time ever watching this. You need to have seen this movie maybe like twice and then go back and watch it with Carrot Top's commentary because it's just delightful. I think we're due for another movie commentary on JJ Meets World.
Yeah, what should we do next?
What was the last one that we did? Major League 2?
That's true for running commentary because we didn't do commentary for Planes, Trains. We just reviewed it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, I guess what would be a good commentary?
I think I got it. There's some kind of algorithm on my Instagram that pushes some pretty bizarre reels my way. And it's one about a Catholic school with a younger nun who's sent to this Catholic school because of something that happened at her previous nunnery, and she ends up getting a crush on a student, and it's called Bad Sister.
That's not a bad one.
And like
bad.
I looked it up and I'm like, oh, okay, where's it streaming? It is so bad that even the major streaming services don't have it, so you can watch it for free on justwatch.com, which is where I go to find where movies are available, like for streaming. And then Plex.
Yes.
And so even Plex, they're like, we don't care if this doesn't make any money.
Yeah. I have Plex. Do you have Plex?
I do, yeah.
All right, let's do it.
So let's watch we'll watch Bad Sister.
There's so many things on Tubi. One of my favorite subreddits right now is actually two different ones, Absurd Movies and Bad Movies. And they're always linking to stuff they find on Tubi. So there's a whole community out there finding the weird shit too.
Thank you for making me think about this. I had wanted to talk to you about this. I get an email from Reddit every single day with Reddit threads that they think I might be interested in. And I don't know what I was on Reddit for that made them think this is the one for him. It's in the Reddit thread scams, which I don't believe I'd ever been to. But this is the headline. My spouse got caught in a pig slaughtering scam, and now our life savings are gone. That's going to wrap it up for today's show. If you enjoyed this episode and would like to help us continue to produce new episodes each week, visit jjmeetsworld.com, where you can donate to our Patreon, pick up some swag at the merch shop, or follow our link to Apple Podcasts and leave us a 5-star review. You can also follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, all the sites the cool kids are using these days. JJ Meets World is produced every week by Tucker Lucas. You can find out more about Tucker's work by visiting moonbasemaria.com. If you want to get in touch with your host with the most, check out linebenders.com, where you can find direct contact info for JJ or booking information. I don't have any tiger nut cake, but I've got this Derek nut cake. I think you're going to like it. Chew carefully.